Hi guys, I don't know what happened, but you're going to see a snippet of a video, and I'm going to keep going on this one. I don't know what happened, but it just shut down after I talked about the full moon fast. And I didn't know that we were doing a full moon fast to prevent witchcraft. So God led me to share to Fabienne and to others to fast. I don't know how many people partook in the fast. I don't even know if it was just me and Fabienne. And if it was, it's okay, because it did its job. Remember, where two are gathered and are in agreement, God will be there among them. Fabienne was dealing with a counterfeit situation. I was dealing with witchcraft. So that night I stayed up late. I know I stayed up late because the next morning I was tired, and I was not feeling the effects of the alcohol, but because I was tired, and I had this overwhelming peace. Like, I was so calm that when my boss told me Mariah's gone, I didn't understand his expression. And I was like, what do you mean? And he looked at me, and the look in his eyes, I grabbed my chest and I said, what? He said, she's gone. In that moment, her friend Carla comes into the corner where we're standing, and he looks at her and says, Mariah's gone. And she goes, which Mariah? What Mariah are you talking about? And I stepped in. I looked at her and I said, our Mariah. And she looks at me and she's like, no, that can't be. That same day, my son reached out to me. Today, I realized that because of the witchcraft they were doing, it was preventing the blessings that God had already given me and should have already been with me, which is why I was still asking God, when is it going to change? Why am I still in the same situation? Why am I still dealing with the same things? And this morning, he brought revelation to me that the fast that we did that night moved him to release the judgment and the punishment that he had been holding back. Even though I wasn't fasting for that. I was fasting in support of Fabienne, who was dealing with a counterfeit situation. I was in agreement with her to be able to understand who God had for her. And Mariah isn't the only one who in that moment was told to back off. It was all of them, from the woman who raised me to the girls that I was friends with during events and adventures. All of the people who have spoken against me, all of the people who have come against me have been at this moment warned to back off. Last night was the first night that I have slept without pain. Even my neighbor was quiet. And that's something else that happened the other night. On my way home from work, she was outside. And I went and I threw the trash away and I came back. And on my way back, she was holding a puppy that was just born. And she looks at me and she goes, look, my girl had puppies. And I said, oh my goodness. They're so precious when they're that little. And it reminded me of my Apollo. And what he is dealing with right now. The next day, after the passing of Mariah, God led me to go to Sprouts. And I have to tell you, as I'm walking to Sprouts, because it's on my path now, as I'm walking to Sprouts, I'm looking at the weather. It looks horrible. It looked like the night that Mariah passed away. We had had a storm earlier in the day. And I just thought, Father, who else is going to pass away? Because if you remember, 3 weeks before I had mentioned that my uncle passed away. And they always come in threes. I'm hoping it's a spiritual death and nothing more. But he did bring me my son. And he did ask me to come into agreement, to give my consent with his will for his life. And I did. I came into consent. I came into agreement with God. And I said, let your will be done in his life. I have been praying for that boy since before he was born. Because Lucifer has been coming against him. Because he is going to have a mighty testimony that will bring many that look like him, that walk like him in the world right now. Children of the streets, children of the drugs, they are going to see God through him. And he is going to have the most powerful testimony that will bring people to their knees and ask God to save them. The path that I was walking was the path that he was supposed to walk. But because he's running away from his assignment, he's running away from the things that God has led him to do. Whether it be because of witchcraft, whether it be because of his own free will, it doesn't matter. But God is going to put him in a well. Something that is going to force him to accept the assignment that God has in his heart. And I will continue praying for that to happen. Because I want my son to come home. Because I want to be able to accept my prodigal son. And I have forgiven him for all of his transgressions, regardless of what they have been. There is only love in my heart for him. And he's using my children to walk in the paths of the people who are living their lives like my children. And because of that, my children will have to step into their assignments. They will have to step into the position of the kingdom that is rightfully theirs. Because God is forcing them to now. It's not up to them anymore. They are part of my bloodline, and my bloodline is not going to step away from God. I am not going to drop the baton. I am not going to drop the scepter that God has put in my hand to rule over the land that God has given me. That is why he has raised me the way he has raised me. That is why I don't feel pain like other people feel pain. That's why I can go the distance, not because of what I've done, but because of what God has put me through. He has allowed things to happen in my life that have made me stronger. So this morning, as I'm laying in bed and I'm thinking about all the things that have happened in the last few days, God sent me back to the book of Esther. And now, after the fast, the author is thinking back over the things that have been released because of the fast. There has been a wisdom that has been released. And it's in Proverbs 8. And this is why God wanted me to come on here. Because he wants to show you how he leads me and how I follow the rabbit hole, regardless of where it takes me. So I'm in Proverbs right now. And if you want to see, because you don't believe, there's my Bible.
Okay?